Hello and welcome to day 6 of the 31-day upload challenge. It's a little cooler today and I want to take advantage of that and get out and clean up our compost area. It's gotten a little overgrown. In the heat of the summer we don't really want to sit there and dig through our compost, so it kind of gets a little overgrown in the summer months. So now that it's a little cooler today and we're expecting some rain in the afternoon, I figured it would be a good time to clean up that area and stir the compost, get some oxygen into those lower layers, and kind of mix it all up so that we can keep that compost doing what it does best and breaking down all that organic matter. As your compost breaks down, you start getting kind of these different layers. And ideally that's what you want to do when you're building your compost. You want to do layers, brown, green, so that the carbon and the bugs and everything can get that really good healthy mix together. But as you do that, you start getting kind of the fresh stuff just sitting on the top, and then you get all your compost on the bottom. So it's a good idea to stir those every now and again so you can get the oxygen back into the bottom, get some moisture up to the top, because the stuff on top is going to dry out a lot faster than the stuff on the bottom. So that's what we're going to do today, is just kind of stir that all around. I've got a little pallet 2-bay compost bin area that I've made. As you can see, it's really overgrown, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time cleaning it up, and then I'm going to go ahead and start rotating it around. You just saw me pull up there was a tomato. So sometimes if your compost doesn't get hot enough, seeds won't get destroyed and they'll regrow in there. So that's the case that happened here. Is our compost didn't get hot enough last year, and so we have some tomatoes from our garden last year that reseeded within the compost itself. So I just pulled that out and I threw it in. So another reason that we have 2 bays is because on one side we put all of our yard waste. So the reason we put all our yard waste on one side is because a lot of times it has weeds and seeds and things in there that we don't want in our actual garden. So our yard waste side, we don't use that compost for 2 years generally. So we'll let that compost for 2 years at a time, and then after that 2-year period, then we'll put that compost on our garden. Whereas our food scrap side, we'll use that at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. So at the beginning of the year we'll use the winter scraps that have composted, and then at the end of the year we'll use the compost that we generated throughout the summer and spring and fall, and we'll top dress our garden for the winter with that. So our garden generally gets 2 helpings of compost, one at the end of the year and one at the beginning of the year, just to kind of help it move it along a little better. So compost shouldn't smell bad, I should say. It will have a smell, but it shouldn't smell bad. If it's smelling bad, then there's some kind of imbalance going on in your compost, and either more than likely you need more brown material. So dead leaves, dead grass clippings, things of that nature, or it's too wet is another reason. Not rotating it, not getting the oxygen in there, that will also cause it to have that rancid smell, that garbage smell. A good healthy compost won't smell. Ours kind of goes in stages. So with ours, if we don't get out and rotate it about every couple of weeks, then it will start to smell, that top layer. So as you can see, probably like this top layer right here, about a foot or so, is usually pretty fresh foods, whether it's from our garden or whatever. So we have to constantly rotate that. Now in the summer months, in order to get our brown material, we generally use hay or straw. You want to use straw. We'll use straw, but then come the fall, then that's when we'll gather leaves from the neighborhood. We only have pine trees in our yard, so we do use a lot of pine needles just because they're naturally here. But we do go around the neighborhood, and there are certain yards that we know that don't spray, and we'll use we'll gather leaves from them in the fall and heavy dress our winter compost with it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off that first probably foot or two of compost that's on there. That's all the pretty new stuff. I'm going to put that in my wheelbarrow, and then once I'm done with that, then I'll rotate, I'll kind of stir, if you will, what is left in the compost bin, and then I will put the stuff that's in the wheelbarrow back on that, and then stir all that back in as well. Since we put a lot of our yard waste in the other bin, I will from time to time take some of the compost that is completed at the bottom of our food waste bin and throw that over into the yard waste bin. It just helps get those organisms over into that other bin and helps break that down a little bit quicker. Now that I've dug out a side over here, this kind of far side here, I've moved all the compost over and made a little hole there. So I'm going to take all this stuff that was on top and dump it right into that hole so it's on the very bottom, and then mix everything back over into it and mix it all together. This will give me a good distribution of old and new, brown and green, wet and dry. And it'll keep this compost, so really actually it'll kick it into overdrive for probably a week until I come and stir it again. I wish I got out here on a weekly basis, but it's more probably monthly or bi-monthly, which you really should be stirring it weekly or at least monthly. Alright, so now I've got this one is our food waste, and this one is our yard waste. So now that I've got our food waste taken care of, I'm going to start on our yard waste and pretty much do the same process. Okay, so our yard waste, there isn't a whole lot there. We definitely have more on our food scrap side. So that was a quick stir. I do have a pot over here that I was growing onions in that I'm no longer growing onions in, that I'm gonna dump on there. But that should wrap this up. If you have any questions about how we compost or how I set this up, you know, feel free to leave a comment down below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching and be safe out there.